guys, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am back with another project today for an Instagram hop, actually, that we are doing between Spiegel Mom Scraps and Scrappin Happy Studio, which is an epoxy flare company that is absolutely fabulous. And so what I wanted to do today is my entire layout kind of started with this cut file border that I wanted to use. And so I'm just going to apologize off the bat if you can hear the rain in the background. I have been putting off, but it's been raining for like 3 days, which is not like normal for Phoenix. So if you can hear the rain in the background, I apologize. But I started this layout out with wanting to use this cut file. And I have a picture that has a lot of really bright green in it. And so I wanted to go with a much more subtle kind of muted background that's really going to support that photo, rather than going with anything that was going to be too like crazy and bright. So you can see I'm pulling out a lot of kind of really muted pattern papers to work with. And this is from Cocoa Vanilla. This is the Midnight collection. And I feel like it's a really good kind of match with a bright photo like this because it's really going to tone down the brightness of that photo. And it worked out well because in the photo, the one little girl is wearing kind of this bluish turquoise color shirt. So that would really let me pull in all of the blues. And there's just a little bit of kind of purplish in the background that's also going to work really well with the blue. And so I kind of just stacked up a whole bunch of 6x8 papers. And now I'm going to go ahead and just cut them smaller and into some little strips. And I knew that I did want a really dramatic mat over on this right-hand side of the photo. So I am going to leave a lot of these papers in a pretty big size. Now, if you wanted much less of a mat, if you don't want the pattern paper to have quite so much impact, you can absolutely cut those a lot smaller. And so I'm grabbing some of my favorite epoxy flare, and I will say I definitely have several packs that are amazing. These are super, super thin, so it gives you sort of the look of a flare badge, but they are a little bit flexible, and they are much more thin, and they can glue just directly onto your page. And you don't have to worry about any of that like rusting and the metal and any of the stuff from flare. And they are super, super cute. So I'm just playing with a couple of the hearts right now. And so I knew I wanted that pink heart to go right in the middle of where that flower is disappearing behind the edge of my kind of pattern paper mat. And so that's where I started. And so then I wanted another one to go diagonally in the like bottom right hand corner so that your eye would travel directly through the two girls in the picture. And so that's where I kind of started building my embellishment clusters. And I'm wanting to add a bunch of this floral ephemera to cover up little places in that cut file to kind of make it all a little bit seamless. And so I have 3 main embellishment clusters that I'm working on. So I've got the top left corner of the photo, the bottom right hand corner of the photo, and then I have a third little cluster down there in the very bottom left that's just going to kind of stop your eye at the bottom of that cut file. And so I grabbed one of these words that just says you and me, and so that's going to serve as my title. And now I'm just going to start kind of layering all these pieces together. So some of them are just going to get glued flat onto my layers, and then some of them are going to get some dimensional adhesive. So in that bottom corner in the left, all 3 of those flowers are at a different height. So I have several different heights of dimensional adhesive. So they have like a different depth of foam. And that lets me create clusters of embellishments where I have 3 or 4 different levels of dimension. And I really like how that looks. So that would be a huge tip for you is to pick up some of your dimensional adhesive in different sizes, like different heights, so that you can create some really great dimension using something simple like that. So then I'm going to go back and make sure that I am adding a bunch of sequins to my embellishment clusters. And I was thinking about using them in the centers of flowers. And if I was doing a layout that was a little bit more like whimsical rather than kind of more sophisticated like this one, I would absolutely do that. But because this one is a little bit more kind of sophisticated and simple, I end up pulling a bunch of those sequins off of the middle of the flowers, and I just go with the ones that are in my embellishment clusters, and I like that look a little bit better. So you really have to kind of gauge the feel of your layout to decide, you know, what is going to kind of continue the message you've already started or what's going to pull you in a different direction. And I feel like those pink sequins in the middles of the flowers kind of pulled me in more of a whimsical direction, and that wasn't really the feel of this particular layout. So I do go ahead and pull those off, but I leave the ones in the clusters, which came from Southern Bluebells, which gave me the silver gray ones, and Pick Your Plum, which was the purplish and the navy. And I do really like the look of taking my sequins and making them one shade darker than the embellishments on the page, because I feel like that does make them stand out. And you can see how I did that in the close-ups. So I will link the products I have used down below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!